Hi, I'm Sam Edwards and I'm a lecturer in nursing at USC. I've been working here as an academic for the last 7 years, and I was really excited to have the opportunity to join PATS last year because I had been quite interested in mentorship and had an informal mentor relationship that I really enjoyed formalising.
My name's Jane Taylor. I am a lecturer in public health here at the University of the Sunshine Coast. I have been here for, I think, 10 years in teaching and learning and research practice, and it has quite some time away from that, so hence the opportunity to jump into the PATS program was great.
My name's Julianne Foster, and when I started with the PATS program, I was in my first 12 months of being an academic, coming from a clinical on-road position as a paramedic. I'm working with the paramedic science team, and my main role is the first year of the paramedic science. I'm also the first year coordinator, so I've got a role there.
So I used the PATS process to be able to actually look at the unit. I did a bit of a what's been happening, what's the aims of the unit, what do we want students to be coming out with. There'd been a few changes where the unit had gone from a second year to a first year subject, and the students hadn't actually had clinical placement experience yet, so I had to sort of make that meaningful connection with workplace as well. And I saw it as a really good opportunity to give the whole unit a overhaul. I really enjoyed that whole opportunity to delve a bit more into blended learning and explore lots of different ideas of what might be incorporated within the course to improve it for student experience.
To focus on in the PATS program was a big first year public health course. I had taught it some years ago. I suppose I was wanting to use the opportunity to have a really good look at what was going on in the course, not necessarily change a whole lot, I don't think, through the PATS process last year in relation to the course. My intention was more about how better do I support the tutors, but had a formal mentor here at the university in the time that I've taught here. That's been a more recent initiative, I think, which is fantastic. But my mentor actually was from education, and so I found that really, really useful. So I hadn't met my mentor before, come from a different discipline, and I was excited about that. Some fresh eyes with focus on teaching practice rather than the content.
Basically, being in the first 12 months, I had run paramedic clinical foundations, and I was redeveloping it, and I wanted to take a fresh look at that development and also get some guidance. I've had guidance basically from our whole paramedic team since I arrived, but it was nice to make it a little bit more formal, and Dr. Bill Lord had joined our team early in the year, and he has had vast experience in tertiary education, which I had minimal experience, so it was really nice to have a formal relationship with him, that he could give me advice, quite specific advice on different assessment pieces that I was developing, or even we looked at problem-based learning techniques together that I could introduce into my course, so I found that really helpful. And basically it started sort of me on a journey of developing my own teaching practice and really cementing that.
My goals for participating in PATS were, I was wanting to look at student engagement within the course, and very specifically at online tools that would allow students very blended opportunities to engage in course content. I also wanted to get a better understanding of what blended learning actually was and how it might fit in my course. So I used the opportunity in participating in PATS to actually spend some time researching that as a pedagogy, and also thinking about how it's going to fit in practice. I used PATS as an opportunity to have peer feedback on lecturing, and also on the course content and how it flowed, whether concepts were built on well to that final, week 13. And I also saw it as very much an opportunity within my professional learning journey. So I saw it as something that looked really good on my CV as well. And I was just very excited that it was actually coming to USC. I see that it's really valuable to be able to have someone who's guiding you and challenging you and encouraging you to explore new and interesting ways to keep your teaching fresh and alive.
Personal perspective, though, I was really keen to start to get involved in conversation around teaching and learning in higher education. Really wanted to do that. I felt like I was a bit stale, like I'd just been, launching from one semester to the next, more survival mode for the last 2 or 3 years, rather than actually paying attention to my teaching and learning
My
practice.
main one was to sort of develop my own problem-based learning techniques and develop that into earlier curriculum in the course. We do use it throughout paramedic science, but to bring it into the first year course. To encourage sort of a deeper understanding and learning.
PATS helped me achieve all of the goals that I had set. One interesting outcome that I had was that I found that online tools actually didn't work in my first year course. And there needed to be a lot more lead-in for students and teaching them how to use the technology. They identified that as just... And I actually, although finding it very intimidating, found peer feedback very helpful. Because it actually gave you a lot of opportunities to look at your teaching practice, but also you often don't actually, after you start teaching for a few years, ask people to come in and actually give you feedback about...
Feedback incredibly useful, and particularly the structure of the peer feedback. Caroline actually, the whole idea of like having a focus when you provide peer feedback, like in the past I think we just do the whole, oh that worked or that was good, or like it was too broad, but actually being really focused on what is it that you're actually looking for and what is it that you'd like peer feedback about. And so yeah, I found that really valuable. I found the PATS process made me structure feedback opportunities across the course from students, which I might not have normally done so formally, and so that was really, really useful, and particularly around week 6, halfway through, and being able to use that feedback to inform so I think the whole PATS involvement was a really big launching pad for me to get back into teaching and learning.
The clinical placement, preparation for clinical placement, the industry feedback that we've gotten post-clinical placement, which has been over the last 3 months, has been really positive. Probably the most positive that the university's received so far. So that is really, really exciting. It was filled out and the feedback was really positive from the students about asking them. They found that really really nice to know that we wanted to know how they were feeling and how they were perceiving the teaching and their learning and the outcomes from that. So that was a really positive effect. And I think that leads on to that is the reflective practice that I've developed now, constantly looking at what I'm doing in a more formal way and learning from that.
I'd like to prompt a comment. All 3 of these ladies who were involved last year as mentees, 2 of them right now, and I'm sure Jules in the future, are going on to be mentors now to future PATS participants. And I think that's a particular aspect as well, or dimension.
I was very interested to see the other side of the coffee voucher, so that was great too. But no, I think it's a really lovely opportunity. I think you always get as much from being a mentor as you do from what you put in. So
I think the mentor little network here will be really important for me, and learning from those that have a lot more mentoring experience in teaching and learning.
The possibility of our CTAC scores becoming much lower because of the different things we were doing, the different techniques. I'm not sure how you guys found it, but ours were actually better. So even though we did quite a few different techniques and different learning, some different learning outcomes, they actually turned out to be better, which was fantastic.
If I can comment there, Dan, I think, and thank you for what you've commented on, but I think the coordination and the gradual now enlarging the process at USC or for the university is really an important process. We've had, as the 3 have talked about, very much based on a voluntary role of coming into PATS initially, now there's the challenge a little bit in the way in which that extends. And already for this semester there'll be 7 pairs involved, and I've done a reasonable amount of matchmaking, I'd call it, in regard to sort of getting people, you know, hooked up and hoping that those matches, personality-wise and interest level and background and a number of things, can work
Permission to try
quite
new
well.
things within the course that sometimes you can feel a bit restricted to do, and I found that quite exciting that I could introduce these new things because it was part of PATS. So that was really good, and I also found that my students were so encouraging. I told them from week 1 that I was participating in this, you know, semester-long opportunity to have someone come and, you know, look at things that were being taught within the course, but also look at, you know, were things working for students, and so I'd be asking them at a number of times for feedback. I think that was really good to role model for them, you know, that being open to feedback, but they were so encouraging. Like they were, oh, have you got anyone coming in this week, you know? So I was really impressed with just how very encouraging they were, because they knew how it felt to sit on the other side, I think. So.